Okay, now I'm returning to record here. So I finished getting the remainder of this information. So we continue to recording here. So as I was saying, Carlos Linnaeus was the main scientist in this particular meeting. Okay? Now, this particular system is a specific word called binomial nomenclature. Binomial nomenclature. Now, bi means a two. In other words, these are Greek and Latin terms, of course, which most of science, the original scientists are based in. Bi means two, so basically it's a two-part naming system. And when you're talking about doing what's known as a scientific name, okay, the scientific name is based on what is known as the last two, or the most specific level, which is known as the genus and species level. Those are the two most specific levels, okay? So, we'll get more about that in detail about that as we go on with the particular lecture. I just want you to get some idea about what I was talking about with that. Now, if you look here, try to open up a new flip chart page here. Okay. Now, the next concept I want you to understand and learn about is called known as a branching diagram. If you look at that on page 223 in your text there, a branching diagram. Now, in a branching diagram, it's our actual model for us to assist us in actually being able to use the characteristics of certain organisms to organize and sort them or how they relate one to another. So if you look at how it's drawn in the textbook on page 223, it gives you an upward diagonal line. It gives you some transverse parallel diagonal lines in the opposite direction. And on top of those lines, you have three organisms now: the platypus, we have the brown bear, you have the lion, and then you have the house cat. Okay. Now, what you see here is in ascending order. You have general characteristics to specific characteristics. The general characteristics will include all the organisms on this end of the branching diagram, and as you get more up the diagram, it changes to more specific and it will eliminate the previous organism. So, in the book, it has, for example, here, the platypus. What does all these organisms have in common? There it says they all have hair and what's known as mammary glands. That means they produce milk. All of them. The next clue says it gives birth to live young, or giving birth to live young. So, if you look there, the platypus does do that. What? It's a unique, very special mammal. It actually lays eggs. So that mammal or the platypus is taken away. The brown bear gives birth to live young, lion, and house cat. Our next clue. So what we're doing is sticking up clues that's gonna eliminate previous organisms until we identify our final organism by one single clue. So you go from general to specific. The general clue that includes all of them. Then the next clue has to fit the remaining 3 or whatever number you have. Then the remaining 2, 1, and so forth. So the lion, the next clue for the lion says is have retractable claws. Now, retractable claws. Now, the lion and house cat do. The brown bat has claws, but they don't retract beneath the nail bed, so that's why it's eliminated. And then finally, the house cat, it says what? It has the ability to purr. So, the lion roars, right? So, the house cat purrs. And so this is how the branching diagram works. It went from general description of all or most of the organisms to specific descriptions that eliminates the previous organism to find a specific clue, which is the ability to purr, which the house cat has, that doesn't fit anyone else. So now, you're going to complete the quick lab. Now, in order for you to do the quick lab, on the diagram here, you can do the quick lab dealing with on the branching diagram on page 223. Except you're going to change the organisms. It gives you the organism as a frog, a snake. What does it give us there? A rabbit. And a kangaroo. Okay, and a kangaroo, right? Okay, so now looking at what it's giving you there, what you need to think of what all these have in common. Example would be they're animals. Okay? Now, what clue, what order will put your branching diagram in order to reduce what does the remaining three of them have in common that one of them doesn't? Something I see right readily with the kangaroo, a rabbit, and a frog that a snake doesn't do. Next clue, I see something readily that that the actual rabbit and kangaroo does that the frog doesn't. Finally, I see something that the kangaroo has that the rabbit doesn't.